All right, so it looks like AOC was on The View yesterday, and Whoopi Goldberg has taken this really strong stance in being anti-young people and anti-progressive. She's playing victim. She's taking offense, basically saying, "Oh, look, you young people are backstabbing the old or whatever. You don't know what you're talking about," and all of this stuff. But really quickly, before we jump into it, I do want to let you guys know I'm over on Patreon, patreon.com/theprogressivevoice. The link is in the description box. I do post over there a bunch of patron-only content and early access content, so make sure to go over there to access that stuff. But you guys will check this out, and then we will come back and talk about it.
I was very happy when you were elected because I thought it was a great step in a good direction. And then you lost me because it felt like you were saying to people like me that I was too old and didn't do enough to make, well, that's what it sounded like. And so that has bothered me because I feel like I love young people. I was once one. But you're on my shoulders.
Absolutely.
And we have carried this fight. People like, you know, Nancy Pelosi, who was the only chick in the room for years. And Madam Feinstein, who was the only chick in the room for years and had to deal with all of that stuff. And to sort of hear it sound like you were dismissing us bothered the hell out of me.
Of course.
And she's been very upset about it.
And I've been very upset about it for a long time. So do you think maybe they misunderstood what you were saying? Did I misunderstand what you were saying? Because I read the blurb on the website, so maybe you can clarify.
No, of course,
it
and
for me.
I appreciate you sharing that with me because I think.
Well, I figured everybody else probably already.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing that with me, and I think that that's something that we have to model more in politics. You know, I work very closely with my sister Rashida Tlaib, and one of the things that she says is that we're not divided, we are disconnected, and the way that we connect is by sharing honestly our takes with each other. But that being said, first of all, I think there's a lot of incentive to blow up disagreements in the party as like huge fights, because I think it's important for us all to recognize, and we do this in our rallies, to recognize the people who have been in this fight to allow us to have this window as we do right now. You know, Nancy Pelosi, that's Mama Bear of the Democratic Party, you know. And, but also women like Barbara Lee, Jan Schakowsky, Maxine Waters, my chairman, Elijah Cummings, may he rest in peace, and in power. You know, he, especially, I sat on his committee in the Oversight Committee, and he did so much to center us and uplift us. And that is so unusual in a place that revolves around seniority. So I think it's important to say that, but also to say that part of, I think, youth and culture, it's always been seen and cast as rebellious, but ultimately we are not a moment that is disconnected from our past. We are part of a long movement of ancestors and elders that we should always acknowledge.
Cool. And so the next thing I have to ask you now, you know, are you a Democrat? Are you like an African-American? Do you know what I mean? When people say African-American, we say, no, I'm an American. Don't hyphenate it. Are you a Democrat? Help me understand, because it's the same issue I have with Bernie. You know, I understand that there are a lot of places people can live in this party, but I feel like you must come in as you want me to see you, and you must come in up front. So are you, explain what kind of Democrat you are. That's what I'm asking.
I am a Democrat. And I ran as a Democrat. I am the Democratic representative of New York's 14th Congressional District. I do think in this time and in this moment, we've had this question of what does that mean? What does it mean to be a Democrat?
Or a Democratic socialist. Can I interject, though? But you said you don't believe that you would be in the same party as Joe Biden if this were Europe. So I think what Whoopi's trying to say is it doesn't seem like there's a lot of unification.
Yes, and I think it goes to that question because in other countries, there are different parties where you break up what that actually means. There are some Democrats that are very pro-business, very pro-Wall Street. They advance causes of big pharma. And then there are other Democrats that don't take corporate money, that fight for working families, for a living wage, for Medicare for all. And I think in that, I want to clarify that I am a grassroots candidate that does not accept corporate or lobbyist funds, that I fight for working families, a living wage, Medicare for all, ending our system of mass incarceration and making sure that we have humanity at our border.
All right, so Whoopi Goldberg is very annoying. Okay, really, really, really bad. So she's trying to play victim here with her age, and I actually just Googled what her net worth is. Her net worth is $45 million. Now, having a net worth of $45 million does not necessarily mean that you will be a centrist, sort of centrist Democrat type of person. Doesn't mean that at all. But when you are somebody who is a centrist Democrat, and then you're also worth $45 million, we see what's going on. And so, we're not going to look at things that you've done in the past and just pat you on the back for that. By the way, I don't know what she's done in the past or what any of the people that she's talking about have done in the past. When you praise someone like a Nancy Pelosi, you see her net worth, it's $20 to $120 million. I don't know how it ranges so much, but you see that it's not even just that they're taking money for their campaigns and doing the bidding of those people. They're doing the bidding of their own interests because they're so wealthy and they're in that sphere. You know what I'm saying? And so, to me, it's like there's nothing really to praise of Nancy Pelosi. She's never done anything really transformational. And someone like a Maxine Waters, I respect Maxine Waters because, if I'm not mistaken, I think she signed on to HR 676, and she seems to be like a legit progressive. And also, she has a lot of courage. I saw that, time she was like, she was getting death threats, and she said, if you're going to shoot, make sure to shoot straight. That was really sick. But I don't respect Nancy Pelosi because she doesn't support any of the things that are, aging our country. Same thing goes with Dianne Feinstein. Remember when the Sunrise Movement protester was basically talking to her and she was like, what did she say? She said, you get elected or something like that. It was embarrassing, dude. Like, these geezers don't care. And it's not even about your age. The problem is we look at the statistics and we see that, I don't know what the numbers are now, but it was like 60% of boomers, 65 plus, support Joe Biden. And then you see who they're voting for and what they support. You realize they're the ones who are basically halting all change within the country, and that's what we look at. Our candidate is Bernie Sanders, and our second candidate before she went insane was Elizabeth Warren. So it's not that we hate old people or against old people, it's about their ideas. And so, you're not talking about any of the issues, you're just talking about making yourself sound like a victim. When you're a rich person, really comfortable, you don't have to deal with anything. You don't have to deal with climate change because you'll be dead in like 20 years, you know what I mean? You're 64 already. And so it's just simply a fact. You're not going to have to deal with the ramifications of climate change. And you're sitting pretty, and she does not seem to care. She also doesn't seem to be very educated on any of the issues either. I remember a clip where I think she was talking about AOC actually, and she said she didn't know the name Affordable Care Act or even Obamacare. She said the Obama bill after failing to be able to name what she was talking about for a long time. So she doesn't seem to be very well educated on the issues or pieces of legislation or anything like that whatsoever. But these people just don't support. So Nancy Pelosi does not support Medicare for all. Let's talk about that. Let's debate Medicare for all. And so when I see Nancy Pelosi doesn't support it and then all the other geezers don't support it, well, I'm coming in to say, hey, you need to stop this immediately. We don't support you. And so it's all about the new ideas. So now, how are we on your shoulders, dude? We've left. You're literally chilling in your $45 million net worth, in your nice house, and you clearly don't care. And again, it's not even about having the money. You could have the money and be a birdie supporter. Look at Michael Moore. He's worth like $50 million or something like that. But when we see what's going on, then we understand what it is. You're wealthy, you're chilling, you don't care. And so, you're not cool whatsoever. And AOC there saying, she said Nancy Pelosi is mama bear and whatnot. I'm not going to go after her for saying that. I tend not to like to critique our progressive leaders in Congress in times where it's not necessary or where it's warranted, because they're already dealing with so much stuff and so much backlash and so much pressure and stress. I don't want to add to that and just be completely destructive. And so I'm not going to go after AOC here because, as you guys are all aware, AOC obviously does not like Nancy Pelosi, and obviously Nancy Pelosi doesn't like AOC. Clearly, they have a deep-seated hatred towards each other. We've seen that from Nancy Pelosi's comments. Remember when she made fun of the Green New Deal by calling it the Green New Dream? It's just embarrassing. And obviously, AOC doesn't like Nancy Pelosi. There were reports that basically behind closed doors, she was ripping her to shreds. So I'm not going to get out. She just kind of is trying to do her best to reconcile both sides and not go full-on kamikaze mode. So I'm not going to go after her for that. But it was very cringy, to say the least, with her saying Nancy Pelosi is Mom Bear. She is not Mom Bear at all. She's terrible. We need new leadership that's not bought out, corrupt, and of corporate interest. Like AOC, for example. AOC would be a great Speaker of the House. But, yeah, this was pretty terrible stuff.